Hello and welcome back to Tea Talk. It's going to be an exciting night. We have so many different topics, a lot of context. We've got Lisa Z, we've got DeBoss, we've got Jinx, and behind the curtain, we've got Phantom. Tonight, we're going to talk about the big, beautiful bill. We're going to talk about taxes. We're going to talk about chaos in the news. We're going to talk about chaos going on in Los Angeles. What is the Trump administration really trying to do? We're going to talk about Kilmar Brega. We're going to talk about a lot of things. But most of all, we're going to give you a lot of context, a lot of information, things that's going to help you to know about what things are going on for you and where you live. So sit back and enjoy Tea Talk.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome to Tea Talk on the Pod, a roundtable of opinions and facts, where politics are loud, news, it's sus, and the entertainment, it never stops. We have DeBoss, the pillar of substance and truth, Jinx, the voice of reason, wisdom, and a lot of sass, Lisa Z, the statistician of facts and tracks, and me, well, I'm T, the instigator, the protagonist, and I bring the heat, the heart, and the soul. Welcome to Tea Talk. In this episode, we're going to delve into school vouchers and for-profit prisons, which are seeing an actual significant raise in funding. However, before we do that, I think we would be remiss if we did not speak about what's going on in Los Angeles. The president has federalized the National Guard. Hegseth has put Camp Pendleton on high alert. I'm not sure what the White House is doing. I know that the mayor and the governor has spoke out and said that this was not necessary. I think it may be provoking more things to happen that maybe wouldn't have. So I would like to get your take on what's going on in Los Angeles. Was all this necessary? Is it overreacting? Or was this the plan all along and they've just been waiting? What says you, Lisa?
I would say that the president's been salivating. Donald Trump's been salivating to do this since he was in office the first time. He wanted to do this to the BLM protest. He wanted to shoot protesters in the legs in Washington, D.C. when they were protesting, when he went over and walked his butt over to that church and held that Bible upside down. They wouldn't let him do that. So he has been chomping at the bit to take over the National Guard, federalize it, and send it in. And the fact that it's California is just icing on the cake. That's what I think.
What other implications can that hold? Once he federalizes the troops, the National Guard, I don't know. Doesn't that possibly open up many other areas that he can delve into for, we'll say, for crowd control or whatever it is that he's trying to do?
I mean, I think so, absolutely. But however, this if we're talking about potential martial law, anything of that sort, to you, if that's what you're referring to, at the end of the day, they've tried to use this as a moment for them, right? LAPD has had this thing under control. It's not as if that this is something that they requested. Even on Trump's social media posts, I think it was this morning, where he was thanking, Pete Hegseth and the National Guard for the great work they've done. And at the time he sent his True Social post, they weren't even here yet, right? So there's things that are happening to give the illusion that somehow there's this huge thing going on, because he's trying to do the things that Lisa had talked about. He's trying to move in that direction. I think it's going to be a little harder because I think, first of all, I don't think it's possible. I don't think we have enough active military. I don't think we have enough active military bodies to do anything that you could claim martial law, not holistically over the country. So I just think it's just there's a lot.
I mean, what's the population, DeVos, of LA? 3.5, 4 million, something like
It's
that.
up there. No, it's even more than that. So it's not
Okay.
something. It's not something that is even tangible because I believe to actually be effective in a martial law situation. I believe that the military needs to be. I think it's either 2-to-1 or 4-to-1 for it to be effective.
Well,
Our military doesn't have those numbers, right? So it's not something that can happen from that perspective. But I do like the fact that the local municipalities are pushing back and saying, listen, this thing that they're trying to make is not a thing, right?
Right.
It's not a thing. To the
They're
extent
trying to
that
make a thing a thing.
yes, they are. They are.
Yeah.
But wrong state. I really think if you're going to pick a state, this is the wrong state. State to do it in. I think that the state has some more leverage than he really understands. And so,
And it's almost 40 million.
yeah, exactly. Just there. So it's not something that's tangible. I don't.
Yeah. He wants the headlines. He wants the imagery. He wants the boots on the ground, the video, the pictures,
The show of strength.
the show of strength, the show of force to make it look like he's doing something. Los Angeles is like, it's 10% undocumented, they said, and so it's a way for him to signal to his base that, look what I'm doing. I'm going into the liberal, like the liberal headquarters, right? Los Angeles is like liberal headquarters, and I'm taking them on, and they're not going to stand in our way, right? And some of the atrocities that's going on already, right? Between ICE and the local population is already bad enough. And now you're trying to add to it. So, yeah.
And I'm guessing that Los Angeles is probably one of the largest sanctuary cities in the country. Is that a good guesstimation?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so.
definitely.
Well, and I want you to take this with you in this conversation. There's going to be another layer where the actual ICE agents, the local authorities, everyone swore to an oath, right? And so,
Very true.
Is ICE acting in a way that is putting their oath at risk, and then asking them to still conduct and do their duties, which the backlash there could be a lot of legal issues there. So
A lot.
right, but he's not thinking about that because he doesn't care, right? You have so many organizations out there. They're probably, I would imagine, by the time Wednesday hits, you'll see a flurry of lawsuits against the federal government and ICE for their conduct, right? Because
It's bad.
they're not. Listen, everything that they're doing is illegal. This is where the stop and frisk came into play, right? Because who are they stopping and why are they stopping? And if you stop somebody illegally, everything after that comes into play. So the thing that they're really thinking through, but as a country, we'll be paying for this literally. We'll be paying for this forever. So any number you hear about cost, deficit, anything that we know, like behind the bill that Jinx spoke about, that has nothing to do with any of this. So you add all of these extra expenses on top of what we're already discussing and anticipating through a bill or through any legislation that doesn't count any of these dollars.
Right.
Right.
No.
Absolutely.
I think that I try not to put things out into the universe. I think that we've been living in a powder keg for a while. I hope this is able to get resolved peacefully and calmly, without any more incidents, and certainly without anyone being harmed or anything like that. I hope, I pray that is the outcome of this. I think that we are definitely in a very volatile time in our country's history. and I certainly want cooler heads to prevail, as always. But it's definitely something that we have to stay attentive to, keep our eye on, and just see where it goes, and hope and pray things will, calm down. And on that same note, and while in no way am I a proponent of lawlessness, it is in a peaceful way good to see people standing up for other people in a peaceful way, peaceful manner. Because like I said in the previous episode, some may not think it, but we are all in this together. We are all connected. And what affects one should affect us all. We should not forget our humanity, who we are, who we want to be. I hope that we don't lose sight of that during what is clearly a difficult time right now for the United States. But there is another question that I have. I'm going to segue a little bit. Lisa, something has been on my mind, and I think you being the statistician that you are, I would like to ask you what's your take and maybe what kind of information you may have for us on the school voucher program. That's been a hot topic lately in the news and around and about on different social media platforms. And I think I know no one better on this panel than to go to my statistician, Lisa Z, and see what she can tell us about school vouchers.
Absolutely, T. So thank you for that introduction. That was perfect. So the school voucher program, the reason why it's been a hot button issue is because it's been a big thing in Texas. So State Congressman James Tallarico has been making it a national issue because he's just been blowing up on social media over the Texas school voucher program, which school voucher programs, anytime they have tried to implement it into a state, what happens is it's a transfer of wealth from the bottom to the top. The money ends up going to families, wealthy families who already have their kids in private school, and it drains funds away from public schools, and it harms them even more and makes it so that kids have even less resources in the public school system. Now they're trying to take that national with this bill, but it's even more sinister than that. So they're doing it in a way in this reconciliation bill so that they give a tax haven to their donors and funnel money to wealthy parents who have their kids in private school. So this is how they're doing it. So a billionaire can give up to a $20 million donation to a voucher school. Most of these voucher schools are Christian or Catholic schools. They're some kind of religious, denomination school. Most of them some form of Christian. And so they can give up to $20 million to a voucher school. When they do that, and at the end of the year when they pay their taxes, they get to take a dollar for dollar deduction. And it's not just a deduction, it's a credit. So when you do your taxes, a deduction just comes off your total income and determines, lowers your tax liability. A credit means it's money back in it's a refund from the government. Okay, wow. So this is going to be they can use it as a deduction and a credit. Okay, and this is how they do it. Yep, both. They can take it as a deduction for their state taxes and a credit for their federal taxes, right? And so say I am a multi-billionaire. I give $20 million to my favorite Christian voucher school. Then when I do my taxes at the end of the year, when I do my federal taxes, I can take that $20 million. I get it back, but not only do I not have to pay taxes on that $20 million, but I get it back as a credit. Okay? So I don't lose anything. I get a $20 million tax haven where I don't have to pay taxes on that. And my favorite Christian Catholic or, private school gets a $20 million endowment from me. And
Unbelievable.
it's insane. And this is how politicians, plan to force taxpayers to fund the tuition of wealthy private school students. Because think about it, who's paying for this? Right? Taxpayers are paying for this
Right.
because we're giving the rich people a refund.
Absolutely.
Hey, Lisa,
Right? So,
I mean,
mhm.
what is your source for this?
What is my source for this?
Uh-huh.
Big Beautiful Bill Act. So this,
You didn't get it off of YouTube or...
No, this
Look
is in
at
the bill, and it's in black and white.
All
It's
there.
in
Look
black
at
and
you.
white in the Big Beautiful Bill, and we will post that at the end. We're going to make a link tree for our viewers and our listeners where they
Nice.
can go and they can access all of our sources, and a copy of the Big Beautiful Bill will be in there.
No,
So, yeah.
We are
Um,
serious tonight on our content.
So just some factoids. 72% of voucher schools are religious institutions. 72%.
Shocker.
The schools will just historically in states where they have had this kind of voucher program, the schools usually use the money to provide tuition assistance to wealthy families who don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, it's not new kids coming in. The taxpayer funding of these private schools will reduce funding for public schools because that's where they take the money from.
I was just going to ask that.
Yes, yep. So federally, that money is going to come out of our taxes. But when it happens at the state level, that money comes out of the public school fund. Okay, and so federally, it's going to come out of the education department. That's where they're going to get the funding from, the Department of Education. So they have pretty much demolished the Department of Education.
And they're already tearing down the DOE.
Right.
So,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, Department of So they're going to take the money, the funding from firing all those federal employees and cutting all those programs, and they're going to use it to fund private schools.
Now,
And like I said, give their donors a tax haven.
So let me ask you a question on that, Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
So because I think what you were speaking to, I want to just be clear, especially for the audience, is that $20 million endowment plus they can take it as a tax deduction. So that's 100% federal match on that type of cash donation, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I believe that is so it's 100%. I think that's higher than any federal match on any other program in the government, right?
Oh yeah, no, this is a total tax haven pass-through scam where they are, in order to get it through budget reconciliation, they are making it a credit and deduction in the tax code. And Jinx will get into this, the reason why they have to do it this way. But there is a Senate rule that says you can only in a reconciliation bill, you can only put stuff in there and pass stuff that's regarding the budget.
Right.
So you can't change rules, you can't make new legislation and just do whatever you want. It has to be a budgetary concern. So it has to be increasing something in the budget, decreasing something in the budget, something that has to do with the tax code. You can't just, change the rules. So that's the way they're going to slip it in. And yes, absolutely. There is nothing that I can think of that is dollar for dollar like this. No. You get $20 million I get $20 million. I don't have to pay taxes on. Plus I get that $20 million back. I donate it. I get it back in a check from the federal government, taxpayer funded. And I don't have to pay taxes on that $20 million where I would normally have to pay taxes on it. So that's my incentive for doing it. And it's a pass-through thing to allow their wealthy donors a tax haven for helping them funnel this money to private schools.
For those who are always calling us hysterical and it's fake news, well, it's in black and white in the bill. This is not a narrative, folks, that anybody is spinning. And the reason why it's so important for us to cover these types of topics, is so that we can bring you this information. This is what you go to your representatives with. This is illegal. They know it, but now you know it, and now they're going to know you know it. You flood the zone with this information. This is a clear violation of the Byrd rule, which I will get into when Lisa's finished. But you can give that information to them. You put it in an email. You write it on a postcard. You call them. We're going to give you information for how to contact your representatives. You go. You can make an appointment. Did you know? Did you know that you can make an appointment to go and sit in the office of your representative and talk to them about your concerns? Right? Because I'm sure most of you out there are having a hard time making ends meet like the rest of us. And if you are able to send your so many people, I moved to a district. I paid was higher taxes to be there, but it was a good school district. I knew where those tax dollars were going. How many of you out there have sacrificed and to be in a certain school district, to go to research where the good schools are, to do the best for your children, because that's all any of us wants, to do the best for our kids. And now somebody's going to come in here. Not only are they take that opportunity and those resources from you and your child, but they're just going to get richer off of it. And it's illegal.
As I always say, make it make sense.
Well,
you can't. You
can't, because the donors are going to make money off of this by not having to pay taxes on it. The money is not going to go to a poor kid in a school, an underfunded school, so that he can go to this nice private school. Because guess what? Those private schools, they can reject any student for any reason, including race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, or disability status. They do not have to abide by Title IX, so they do not have to provide any kind of EIP, and provide like services for kids with disabilities. They don't have to do that. They don't even have to give these kids a ramp, if they're in a wheelchair. Private schools do not need to abide by civil rights and the laws that are designed to protect a student's civil liberties. They don't need to provide them with any extra help that they would need to succeed for, like a kid with dyslexia or some kind of learning. They don't have to do any of that. They don't even have to accept you. They get to operate like a college or a university who gets to accept the people that they want. Well, and what happens a lot of times, they will reject poor kids. And the voucher program, the tuition that they get, is usually like a portion of what they actually need. So they won't be given the whole thing. They'll be like, say, tuition is $5,000. They might be given $2,000. Right. And so they have to come up with the rest of it.
That's what they don't get. These poor parents who think, I'm finally gonna be able to use my tax dollars the way I want to use them for my child's education. Yeah. You're getting a coupon. You're getting Groupon. A coupon.
Yeah, you're getting a Groupon.
Yeah. You still have to come up with a balance.
A Groupon. I love that. Yeah.
I'm just sitting here. You guys know how I get sometimes. I'm just sitting here thinking, if you own, so under this scenario, this is, wow. You guys tell me if I'm wrong with this. If you own stock, and your stock, and you have an increase, right? You bought stock for whatever, $10 million, and you've made $4 million. It's grown. Instead of taking and cashing that stock out, you could forego that and sell it into a voucher.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And now you pay nothing on it and you get it back. Okay, so if that's the case, this is bigger than what we were just talking about. Because everyone's going to move their money through. They'll start establishing voucher schools.
Yes.
So
as tax havens.
That's what they tried to do with when the Supreme Court kicked back when they were trying to build these charter schools, right?
Charter school, private school, same thing.
Okay. Yep. You guys know I have big brain moments, and that's.
I saw the
wheel. No. Yep. We all
we love that big brain. That's why you're here. We love that big brain.
We do, because you get it. It's like you get it. You get what they're trying. Like you get. Jinx and I talk about it all the time, right? Motives and motivations. What are they really trying to do? What is their end goal? what is the end goal they want to see?
Right.
And Jinx brought this up to me, the fact that this is a way to segregate the schools.
Oh,
This is a way to segregate the schools, right?
Civil rights,
Like legally. Yeah, legally. They can segregate. They're allowed to do that.
Yep.
Right.
makes sense.
It makes sense, yeah.
They're going to
Okay,
use
so-
their rights to violate
Yes,
our rights.
100%.
Yeah.
Ain't that something? Okay.
ain't that something? Yeah.
Mhm.
So, okay, so the other thing I want to talk to you guys about is immigration, but on the surface of it, it looks like immigration, but really it's another way for them to funnel money to their donors. Okay.
Mhm.
Do tell.
So, yeah, so this is insane. So this, the immigration stuff, if anybody wants to look, it starts on 459 of the big bill. Okay, so they are going to increase funding for Customs and Border Patrol, right, and for border security, $185 billion with a B. 45 billion of this is to build more immigration jails. So this would be a 13 times increase over what the Department of Homeland Security currently gets for immigrant holding facilities. So my question to you is, if they are mass deporting immigrants and they're trying to get them out so fast that they don't even have time to give them due process, why do we need 13 times the holding capacity that we have right now? Does that make sense?
It makes sense. It makes sense if they're planning to expand. We talked about this offline before. If their plan, because see, this Enemy Aliens Act that they're using to move through this thing, at any time they can designate any group a terrorist group under this Enemies Aliens Act, and now they have a pipeline to fill these facilities, because right now they're moving without due process. Right now they're moving people. Like, we don't know people that are in LA. Was anybody picked up and whisked out of there and we don't know? And where they're going to go. So
Yeah.
it's no one's building facilities without occupancy.
Right. So, but if they're trying to get them out as fast as possible, they don't even have time to give them due process. They don't even have time to get them in front of a judge because they want them out so fast. Why do they need this much, this capacity for holding immigrants? Like,
They
that
won't be-
makes no sense
won't be
whatsoever
doing that.
unless your intentions are something else. So,
Yes.
what if I told you that this was actually a way to funnel money to the for-profit private prison contractors that have donated to their campaigns? So this was from, and these for-profit prison contractors donate to Democrats and Republicans alike. So this was from an April 2025 article, right? That says the Trump administration is moving quickly to dramatically expand the nation's capacity for detaining immigrants who do not have legal authorization to be in the United States. The administration has largely turned to the for-profit private prison industry to reopen or repurpose shuttered and aging facilities, many of which have been previously criticized for poor conditions and inadequate care. In February, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement announced it will reopen Delaney Hall in Newark, New Jersey, the detention facility owned by private prison company GEO Group, and it has the capacity to hold 1,000 people. It will become the largest ICE processing and detention center on the East Coast. A 15-year contract is valued at $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Now, so let me ask you this. So if I tell you, if my propaganda and my rhetoric is to say I'm removing millions of people,
Mm-hmm.
and the millions turn into hundreds of thousands,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Then the propaganda machine will say, well, it wasn't that bad. So people forget on the thousands and the hundreds of thousands that
Mm-hmm.
have fallen into what you just said. And what is their recourse? That's just one facility with 1,000 people.
Right, that's one facility.
Right.
They're opening multiple facilities.
So I can convince the average person, although it was millions pouring in and the worst of the worst and opening up their prisons and letting everybody come here, it was only a few 100,000. It wasn't millions, it was 100,000, and we've taken care of it. And how have we taken care of it? Well, they don't care how they're taking care of it now.
Right.
Would they care if this was the ultimate goal? Because it's still about capitalism, right?
Because they have built the tunnel for the funnel. The tunnel for the funnel.
There's another facility that they recently spoke about. I think it was yesterday.
In Texas?
Yes.
Yep. There's a huge one in Texas that they're reopening, that they're planning on holding quite a few immigrants in. But there was another article that came up on this, right? Where this was from August of 2024. Akima, right? Infrastructure Protection was given a $163 million contract by the Biden administration to run the migrant detention facility at Guantanamo Bay through June of 2029. Okay, this was the Biden administration. So, and they said that this company, under a federal audit of migrant facilities that they were running in Miami, found multiple incidents of alleged inappropriate use of force, including guards pepper spraying a man in solitary confinement, even though he posed no threat to them. And down in Guantanamo Bay, it came out in Christine Noem's, when she went in front of Congress, right? Her oversight hearing. A Democratic congressman, asked her about Guantanamo Bay. Apparently, Donald Trump increased that contract. Now, they already had $163 million. It's a little tent city that they got down in Guantanamo Bay where they're holding immigrants. They have about 100 immigrants down there. And from what this congressman said, we are holding them, we're flying them all the way down to Cuba. We're holding them down there for a small time. Then we're bringing them back up and bringing them to their court hearings. And what he said it costs $100,000 per day for each detainee to be housed down there. That's the cost. That's how much we're paying this private contractor to keep those 100. And there's nothing special about these detainees. They're just undocumented immigrants. And he said it only costs $165 a day to hold them in the United States. So why do we have this special containment facility down in Guantanamo Bay for 100 detainees that was set up under the Biden administration, given $163 million, and now the Trump administration added to their contract for no apparent reason? And it's like it defies reason. And now you understand why they are trying to get this $445 billion passed for their for-profit prison industry, right? It's actually insane. But I just wanted to mention at the end of this that for-profit prisons have long used their inmates for free labor. They sell the facilities and the inmates as contracts to large corporations to manufacture, pack, ship, assemble all sorts of goods. The prison contractors make all of the money for this free labor, and it's completely legal and constitutional due to the 13th Amendment. And for our listeners and our viewers, we've all watched the 13th, but I highly recommend it. It's a documentary that takes you through that whole thing. The 13th Amendment, which has pretty much legalized free labor, slavery, essentially. It takes away your constitutional right not to be a slave if you commit a crime. So it was the founders' way of allowing anybody who wanted to keep slaves still. You just had to convict them of a crime. Right. And they've been using their free labor for decades. So when I think about all the puzzle pieces that I just put together, right? And you say, okay, why are they doing this? President Trump is saying that we have to get them out so quickly that we can't give them due process, but yet we need 13 times the holding capacity. Now you got all these additional, detainees that they want to pick up and fill these prisons. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why? They're paying, they're able to funnel hundreds of billions of dollars into the hands of their donors who put them in their offices. And those for-profit private prisons can use those inmates for free labor and sell their labor to the corporations. So to me, those are the dots that we connect.
Now, there is still time for us to stop the big, beautiful bill from becoming law. And the way that we do that is we reach out to our representatives in Congress and in the Senate. Now, the bill is making its way through the Senate, and all signs point to the fact that they are making it worse, not better. And they will be able to pass this vote with simple majorities unless we reach out to them and put enough pressure on them to stop it, or at least try to stop the very worst parts of it. The way we do that is to call the Congressional Switchboard at 202-224-3121. That's 202-224-3121. You just tell them where you live, and they will connect you to your representatives. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Tea Talk. But before we go, I'd like to leave you with a clip from Texas State Rep James Tallarico, who gave his all trying to stop the school voucher system from being implemented in his state of Texas. I think he perfectly summarizes exactly what the problem is with the school voucher program just in general, and especially the way the Republicans in Congress, whether that's at the state or federal level, want to implement it.
School choice. It's the school's choice, because private schools can deny admission to any kid for any reason they want. So how is it choice when the private school has all the power? How is it choice when a majority of counties in the state of Texas don't have a single private school in them? How is it choice when private schools don't have to provide transportation or special education services? And how is it choice when the voucher doesn't even cover the full cost at most private schools in Texas? If you gave my former students on the west side of San Antonio a $10,000 voucher, there's still no way they could afford a $20,000 a year private school. But here's the catch. The wealthy parent who is already sending their kid to a $20,000 a year private school is about to get a $10,000 discount, a $10,000 coupon at our expense. Vouchers are welfare for the wealthy.
I want to say thank you to everybody. I hope everyone that has watched the kickoff for Tea Talk will be repeat offenders and keep coming back. I want to thank Lisa Z. I want to thank DeBoss. I want to thank Jinx. But most of all, I want to thank Phantom. None of this would be possible if it wasn't for Phantom. He is our tech guy, our IT guy. He is the guy. And he is the one that has made Tea Talk possible to come to you. I hope this will be a learning experience for all of us. I hope that everything that is discussed, we all take something from it. And I hope that it makes us all better people, a better individual. And I hope that we can take that betterness and spread it around to others and let them know everyone is welcome here. Again, I want to thank you for Tea Talk, and we'll see you next time.
Hey, it's me, Phantom, the IT guy, reminding you to hit the like, share, and subscribe button below this video. And don't forget to leave your questions and comments for us down below. We'll select a few questions or comments to share and answer on our next show. Thanks again for watching, and keep an eye out for our next episode.